Yes, this is finally happening, guys. I gotta say, I've been so excited for this since we talked at International Convention Day 4.
Mm.
I couldn't. I've been waiting. Like I couldn't wait for this to happen.
Yeah.
So glad to have to finally be able to do this. First, want to welcome everybody. We got Olivia. We got folks from New York. What's that? Tuning in tonight, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and Colton, we've got folks from all over the United
Yeah.
States.
California, Texas, I know's on here. Florida's on here. So we got people from all over. The Kansas City's on here. So that's a big one. So we got all over the place.
We got Canada on here, some Vancouver, to
International.
Montreal, Toronto. Welcome everybody. Now, before we kick this off, this is the first ever episode. This is the first time I think anybody's ever done something like this, where it's sort of real casual, pick each other's brains, and also, before we proceed, the TalkShop brand, I gotta give a huge shout out to my partners and co-founders of the TalkShop brand, Benson Lee, John Victorino, Rexa Burgess. You guys couldn't join us here on the call, but we wouldn't be here without you. Thank you for everything, and also super thrilled to welcome Colton and Olivia to our newest additions and great improvements to TalkShop. So let's start with some introductions. I would like to spend a minute to talk a little bit about the special lady that we have on here, Olivia. Olivia,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but you were one of our idols. I've been a big fan for the longest time. I first met you at International Convention, I believe. I think you were a national supervising coordinator at the time. You were on stage rocking it out. I was like, man, because you were the living example. Your team was the living example of what I had attended that convention with, maybe like one or two people, and your group was what we strived to be. And we picked up a lot of stuff from y'all. Y'all wore suits back in the day before t-shirts. That's where our suits came from. And then I remember we snuck into one of your meeting after meetings back when Jesse was around, as well, before he moved to Taiwan. Y'all did the good evening, good afternoon, everybody, and everybody just responded. How's everybody doing? Great. That culture came from you and your team, and I want to thank you so much for everything and for leading the way for this next generation.
And I know this is out of order here, but also just to speak on Olivia, I mean, you were the person that really let me know that it was possible for me to do this as well. I remember when I launched, I was 21, I was super intimidated, but my parents sent me your video and talked about the fact that you built this, you were, hit director, and I'm like, okay, I know I can do this too. She did it, I could do it. You kind of paved the way, and you said it was possible. So thank you for that as well.
No, you guys are incredible. Thank you first for having me on this. And, I've been really looking forward to collaborating more with you guys. And, this is the best way to really not only grow ourselves, learn from each other, but also to really help just the millennial generation. So I'm truly grateful. And you guys said it way better than I wrote. And, and, thank you guys. Thank you guys for all those kind words, but really, big encouragement for myself as well. But, speaking of another incredible host for our talk shop, and, Colton Whited here, I've actually had such a privilege of not only, learning from him from stage, but also, meeting him in moving up seminars. And, first of all, your mom and dad had been a huge inspiration because they started their business at a young age at 23. But when I first met you, I have to say, I was, just thinking, how can this Colton Whited at such a young age being so positive and so goofy and so incredibly inspiring. I have to say, I love your energy all around. And what I really appreciate is the fact that you really emphasize on that personal growth and being that example for people. And it doesn't matter, how good of the mentors or environment can be, or how bad, being the first pioneer of empire, yes, before the empire started. in your local area, but you really just proved it that anybody can do this from scratch, and anybody can grow from zero to above, infinity, right? But most importantly, I love that, positive energy. And to be honest, you're one of the, I would say, the youngest person to win the Certified Trainer of the Year. And that was such a leap of faith for many other people who's yet to come to this business. So truly appreciative of you. And of course, Andrew, for just everything that you do for all of us, not only just for Canada, but thank you for having us in the United States to be part of it.
Yeah, so excited. So excited. Olivia, thank you so much. You're truly an inspiration. So excited to get to do this with you guys over the next 12 weeks. And I'll get to introduce, I don't know if he's on your left, but he's on my left here on the screen. So I'll say left here. The man with the plan, the man who pulled all of this together. It was all a vision. It was all an idea until action came into place. And Andrew created the action. And I'm so thankful that he pulled all this together, made this happen. Kind of our main host here, Mr. Andrew Chee. Andrew, I had the opportunity to see on stage probably when all of you guys did last year. He spoke at a convention, and I was like, man, that was really well done. It was with excellence, great at speaking, but it felt like it came from not something he read in a textbook, but it was very practitioner based. And I really look for people that I want to learn from that practice what they talk about, that are actually in the trenches doing what they're talking about doing, not saying what they did years ago, not saying what they think they should be doing, but talking about stories in which they're actually doing what they're saying they should be doing. And Andrew practiced that. I'm very particular about who I have come out to train my team specifically. Actually, both these guys have now trained Olivia Lee. We asked specifically to come out for a Moving Up seminar, and Andrew has come out to train my team in Kansas City for a local seminar. He's gone all over the place for our team now, and very thankful for Andrew. But when he came out and did the local for us, it was, you poke him, you ask a question, and just good stuff comes out, which again means he's a practitioner. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and it came from a place of depth and of wisdom, which is something that I know is cultivated in private, and usually what's done in private shows up in public. And I know that you've done a lot of cultivating, a lot of thinking, a lot of journaling, and this isn't just something that you've learned, but you've processed it, you've internalized it, you've made it your own. And very thankful for you and this company, and for what you represent to this company, and for what we're going to build together here.
Oh gosh, thank you, man. Listen, guys, this is just the beginning, and let's kick this off strong, shall we?
Good.
Yeah. So, this came about where, Colton and I, we were talking. I loved the conversations that we had. We were talking until like 2, 3 in the morning, and it just blew my mind how much you can learn from different areas and how different people are building. So, it's been an idea I've been sitting on for a while. And Colton, you and I have been talking about this several times. And Olivia, you were one of our guests on a national conference call. We've really felt that there was, something here, something that we gelled really well. We're all building in different areas, building somewhat different philosophies, but also I see a lot of strengths in what you're doing, and a lot of things that I can apply in my group and build further build my business. So I just wanted to open up the conversation, right, and have the conversation with you guys. So we'll get together and talk shop.
Well, I like this idea a lot, because anytime you can get a conversational based, usually what we do is very one-sided. It's very catered to guests. It's very out-directional. And there's so many conversations we have amongst leaders that nobody else is a part of. And I'm like, man, what if we just had a camera on this conversation? That'd be super good. And so when Andrew kind of pitched this as a camera on one of our conversations in the inner circle, what do our conversations sounded like? I was so excited. So if you're here listening to this tonight, you're new, or you're not even started, maybe you're a guest, and you're just listening, check this thing out. This is what we as leaders would talk about. This is a conversation more than anything else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Olivia, what do you want to get out of this?
Well, first of all, like I said, I think it's just incredible to see that different people really implementing, the bread and butter of UnFranchise Business and building with very diverse backgrounds. But what it comes down to is really just a few simple things that we do, right? The result producing activities. And it's really incredible to have people that I look up to hold myself and our teams accountable. But also, like Colton just said, it's all about that what it comes down to, that inner circle of what the core leaders, is not about duplicating just the action, is about duplicating our mindset, right? So what I want to get out is to pick on your brain and to implement what's been working really well for your team, so that we can help, but also to help our entire, market America. It's about time for us to really put more people on stage representing this business. That's what our
Wonderful. Yeah. And yeah. So what I think we can see here. This is all up for debate, by the way. What I think we could see here is let's feature some rising talents. Like maybe the three of us. We talked about this. Let's take turns hosting. Hosting the weeks, and then we'll feature different people. Like next week, we got the theme. The theme for next week is getting organized. So I'm looking in my groups, looking in the area for the most organized person to see if we can get them as a guest next week. Or sort of grill them, right? And it doesn't matter if it's starting out a coordinator, somebody that's a senior master, a professional, or even a director. I'd also like to see some, have some surprise guests on. You're pulling on our connections to see who we can pull onto the talk shop. What do you guys think of movie recommendations, movies and book recommendations? Like, should we throw some of this out here for talk shop?
Absolutely,
of
course.
Yeah.
Anything that helps development.
Yeah, anything on development. Okay, great, and some fun, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. So we also are gonna have today's episode is gonna be slightly shorter than the regular one. I think we might wrap up about at about 9 p.m. Central or what's that, 10 p.m. I'm a little messed up right now. Yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, we talked about this. We're also thinking of putting out some weekly tasks, weekly challenges for people to do. Of course, this is on top of your if you're a guest here, if you're a listener, you're just listening in. This is on top of your unfranchised responsibilities, on top of your basic 5 checklist or your accountability groups. We'll try our best to come up with quirky, fun tasks that are still effective and helpful. And Colton's gonna hit us off with a really important one this week. But speaking of tasks, Colton, you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. And part of the task, again, I mean, there's nothing we're going to be talking about like, eat a jar of peanut butter and hop on one foot for 10 minutes or something that's not going to be serving your business. It's not going to be like this outside thing. Everything we have that we're doing is to serve you and to serve your business, to help you grow. Because every time you grow and you become better, the amount of things you're able to do now begins to grow. And part of this business is always, we talk about these different levels of income, but a huge part of my mind is the levels in which you can solve problems, the level in which you've grown. And so whenever you grow and you do something that you're uncomfortable with, now you're more comfortable with it the next time you do it because you've already proven you can do it. And now you begin to grow and you begin to stretch, like lifting weights. Originally you may only lift 45 pounds, but now you're able to do that easily. So now you go up to 60 pounds. And eventually you're lifting, the heaviest weights they have in the gym, and you're, big buffy dude, and all based on small incremental steps. And that's what this business is all about. So these tasks will not be like, oh, now I got a whole other thing I got to be doing. They go in conjunction with your accountability groups. They go in conjunction with what you're already doing. It's just kind of one of our personal flavors of doing it.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, take it away. Here's the first one. Week 1.
All right. First slide. So Lauren talked about this on stage. That's why we wanted to start with this task. Most of everything that we do is very simple from a task perspective. These guys, might agree, they might debate on this part, but I think it's a very simple business. Not saying it's easy, but it's simple. It comes down to very basic things. The trickiest thing in my mind isn't how to teach somebody how to build a business. It's you teach them what to do, you come back a week later and they've not done what they said they were supposed to be doing, even though they agreed they could totally do it. I mean, I set up, very simple things. They don't seem to do it, or they do seem to do it, but it's always a curious thing to me. It's almost like a study on why people do things. And it usually comes down to what Lauren talked about on stage. I highly suggest going back and listening to Lauren's speech here. She goes further in depth on this. I'm going to water ski over the main concept tonight of the 4 W's, which is the 4 W's that eventually lead down to kind of your core, reason why you're doing this. Why are you building this business? What is this? What are you hoping to get out of this? And all starts with the want. What do you want? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? What do you want out of this business? Maybe it's out of this business, maybe it's a health thing. I think the next slide's on health, but this one's out of the business here. What do you want? What are you wanting out of this business? Is there an income goal? I always tell everyone, make sure it's measurable. If there's no measure to it, if it's like, I want to make more money. What's more money mean? I mean, that could be $1, that could be $1,000, but make sure it's something that you're held accountable to. Something that there's a you did it or you didn't do it. So that way there's kind of a measurable goal. So that way you can actually monitor it. If it's not measurable, you can't monitor it. If you can't monitor it, you can't control it. And if you can't control it, you're not going to allow it to grow. Dennis Franks, which we all owe a huge shout out for this whole thing too. We'll do that at the end, I think. But Dennis Franks once said, if it's worth doing, it's worth measuring. So find out what you want, make sure it's measurable, and then why do you want it? And that's the real key thing. Why do you want that? It's a good thing to want something. It's cool to want the new car. It's cool to want. I love things. I want nice things. I want great things. I want things of excellence. I want to be able to eventually keep up with Andrew over here or Olivia when she travels to Italy like 800,000 times per year. Those are all great things. So you can put, I want to travel to Italy like Olivia Lee does, but then put why. Maybe for you, the why was, as a kid, we never got to travel. I never traveled outside of a 30-minute radius of my town or whatever it is, and I want to be able to see the world. Well, seeing the world takes money. You can do it on a budget, but it's a lot more fun when you have a bigger budget. And so the why, you can eat more food and cool stuff like Olivia. Go check out her Instagram. It's pretty amazing. These things, it'll help you dream board a little bit. But the why, so focus on what do you want, why do you want it, and then what is it? Specific action plan. How are you going to get there? What are the steps to do that? And this is the part I would challenge everybody. Our theme for this week is to do this, to come up with what you want, why you want it, what you want, how you're going to do it, what's the action steps, and when do you want it by. But then work out with 2 partners this week. 2 partners. They could be junior, they could be senior partners. I suggest junior, but then relay it all through your senior partner. Find somebody on your left and somebody on your right. Relay it all through your senior partner, and make sure that these action steps correlate with what can actually happen. There's math behind this. It's not pie in the sky. There's actual math. If you follow the math, it'll work out. But find out what the action plan would be to hit that goal. If you want to hit executive coordinator, if you want to hit master coordinator, if you want to hit senior master coordinator, there's certain benchmarks you need to hit in order to make that happen. Find out what those are, work with your senior business partner, and then when do you want it by? If there's no date, then there's no accountability. If it's I want to hit director, but it's someday, that's not much of a drive. I could say I want, Utopia 5, I want the biggest yacht in the world, and I want it 20 years from now. But the reality is 20 years from now doesn't compete with Tuesday night Netflix. And so it's got to be something short term, something quick based, something 90 to 120 days out, because there's a lot of accountability with short goals. Right.
I love what Olivia says at her trainings. What gets scheduled gets
done.
That's right. Yeah. Hey, I don't know if you guys noticed this segment, especially from Lauren, right? And what you just talked about. It's on the getting started guide, but it was missing a key element. I don't even notice, like where we wrote the goals on the getting started guide, it had what you want, and then it went straight into when you want it, what you're willing to give up. But the key element here is asking why you want what you want. Nuts. I mean, it's
extra credit this week, if you're an extra credit kind of a person, would be to go and watch The Golden Circle by Simon Sinek. I'm sure these guys have watched that as well. But he talks a lot about not just psychology wise, but actually in your own biology, the way your brain is made up, you need to know the why. And when you understand the why, the what's and how's usually take care of themselves. But why you're doing this, the what's and how's, I didn't really have a clear path. I had a somewhat clear path, but it was a little vague on exactly what I was doing. But the why was so clear that I got there. When the why is clear enough, the obstacles fall apart. I learned that from Andrew.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. We all steal stuff from each other, anyways. I might have stolen it from Olivia.
And Colton and Andrew both nailed on. I think most people are missing on the why part, and I think that's what also is preventing a lot of people having smooth communication, whether it's by, because prospecting is communication, right? And, affecting or impacting the team, getting the team to do what you want them to do is also communication. So because the why is not the center of our communication, that's why we're either always convincing people to join the business or trying to push our people to do what we want them to do in the team. So, that's why it's so crucial to really spend the time this week to focus on the why, rather than just really, because the why part is the drilling the mind part, right? The what is 100%. Always easy. And like you said, traveling. Okay, if I never got to travel when I was young, so why does it matter that I have to do it now? Why do we have to do it now, right? So brings that urgency, right? Listen to Colton White is sharing on stage on Sunday at this convention, and he talked a lot about urgency, right? So
urgency is key. And this was just a general example. If your goal is just to lose weight, first off, I think that's a little crummy. I would start with how much weight you want to lose. What would be your ideal weight that you want to lose? Then why do you want it? To be healthier, to feel better, fit into clothes, to feel sexy, you know, and it's amazing how much your weight and your activity level drive your emotions. So I think this is a really good one to start with, losing weight, getting in control of that. I just finished my 7-day detox for the TLS challenge. If you're on this tonight and you've not registered for that, you have 3 more hours to get registered for that. I highly suggest being part of our 12-week challenge. We have 12 weeks to get to it. Make it happen. And there's $25,000 in the pot if you win it. So I'm a big fan.
Were we supposed to do the detox last week, or aren't we supposed to do the detox starting tomorrow?
Dude, I started 1 week early, but I'm going to end 1 week early to stay within the restraints. I'm not getting a jump start. But I'm doing a local seminar next Saturday, and I'm like, I do not want to be detoxing in the middle of the local seminar. I'll be up there talking to everybody, and I'll be like, time out. Can we take a ticket break or something?
All right, that makes sense, because I'm in New Orleans right now. I've spent the last couple of days eating, trying to bulk up so I can lose more weight throughout the field.
That's smart.
You're retoxing. I like it. You're retoxing.
Yeah. Well,
so to the what and then the when, and setting a specific date of when you can get to that. When do you want it done by? And then working with a coach, working with somebody that'll help you on that. Our TLS program is amazing, and they really do pair you up with coaches that'll help you specifically lose that weight.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Now, what other goals are there?
Yeah, and again, I really like specifics. This says making money. And again, not to pick on Lauren's slides because she's kind of a big deal, and I'm still the up and comer. So, but I would make that much more specific. I would say, how much money do you want to make? What's the measurable? What's the amount? If it's January 1st, 2020, making money, you're not going to live if you don't make money. So, how much do you want? What's going to be exciting for you? What's going to push you? I always tell everybody, make it something that's a little outside of what you know you can get, and then that allows you to stretch, reach for the stars. Because even if you miss them, you went really far. And then why do you want it? What's the money going to buy you? Money is just options. You know, $7,500 a month buys you a certain amount of options. $18,000 a month buys you a certain amount of options. And so how many options do you need in your world to make your world work to the way you want it to? What are you wanting? And why do you want it? What's going to get you there? How much do you need to get your kids in private school if that's your big thing? I want my kids in private school. How much do you need? What would it actually take to get there? You know, what is it that you're wanting? Financial freedom, time freedom. You know, when I first started this, I was making about $2,000 a month, and I knew if I got to $3,000 a month, I could quit my job because I was like, then I'm making more. That's great. I've since learned there's wiser ways to do it, but I actually got to $3,000 a month by my date, which was May 30th of 2016. I got there. I gave my notice to my boss, and I walked out on May 30th. That was my last day of my job, and I was making more than $3,000 a month at that point. But I was able to quit my job financially free every day from that point on. Whenever I buy a calendar, every single one of those days that are white are mine to choose what's on them from that day on. So that was my why. Again, Olivia, thank you. And then from there, what's it going to take for you to get there? You know, if it's by January 1st, have an actions plan that's very specific, and then work this out with teammates. Don't do this by yourself. Have some accountability. Have somebody that you're doing this with. Have somebody you're linking arms with. Doing something. You know, you can go fast by yourself. You can go far with other people. So do this with 2 people this week. Pass it by your senior partners. And I would suggest somebody that's way up there so that way they can really help you action plan this out. If you're, you know, an executive coordinator, they're going to have a certain amount of knowledge. But I'd say go to the supervising coordinator in your senior business partner line. Go to somebody that's making a 6-figure-ish income or close to there. And that way they really know the numbers of what's it going to take to get you to your goal by that date.
Yeah, and if you guys are going to Colton, he's super busy, so make sure you get it done fast. And hey, what do you guys think of a goal like, let's say I want $50,000 in cash sitting in the bank? Like, what do you think of a goal like that? Yeah.
I love it, I'll let you on this too, but I think there's something cool about making money, but there's another thing cool about having money. There's a lot of ways to make money, but be broke at a higher level. But when you can actually use the habit of saving money too, that's a really good goal.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly gives peace of mind. I've had nights when I didn't have a certain amount in my bank account when I was starting out, and you can't sleep, man. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, like, but you just can't sleep. And when you got peace of mind, there's nothing better. Like, it really is. Yeah.
I remember I remember transferring $3 from my savings account to my checking account because I didn't have any money in the checking account. My friends were all going out for coffee, and I didn't want to tell them I couldn't afford a coffee. So I transferred $3 over, and that was a low day for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm building this business.
Was there a transaction fee for that transfer? All right. So, thank you for that. So once again, Colton, the task is everybody, we challenge you, try this, go out and do this. Do the circle with 2 of your partners. Go watch Lauren's segment from this past convention to see exactly how she explains it. I think it's around halfway through. And yeah, we want to hear about how you've accomplished it. We also want to hear about how maybe you've tried and failed. I don't know how you failed with this one. And if you can't find a junior partner, do it with you. Find a senior partner. But if you still fail, we want to learn. We want to hear about it so we can talk about it here on TalkShop, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's a great thing that everybody pointed out: the fact that we want to listen to audio, because we always talk about listening to audio and reading books. But you have to have the right mentality. We're reading and listening to audio so that we can teach and duplicate. So, we've got to have that learning attitude of what we're trying to accomplish, right? So by going over the pie chart, the 4 W's, and now you're listening to Lauren's audio, so you're learning so that you can train this part with 2 partners, right? So that really shifts the mentality of, I'm not just listening to Lauren's voice, but we're actually listening to learn and to teach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our first several meetings, I was so intimidated to do trainings when I got started. I would literally just play a video on the TV, and that was the training. We're all going to watch this together. You could do that. Play Lauren's video, sit down and do it together, and learn together.
Hey, that's a great idea. That is a great idea. Holy crap. No wonder you can build in any state, anywhere. Just everyone use the same tools. You don't have to be the master at it. Yeah. Well, that's a nugget that I'm taking home today. Anyways, for our viewers, listeners, I don't know what we want to call them, like our guest here.
The TalkShop tribe.
That's right. Like you guys have questions or some feedback. We're open to suggestions. You can shoot us questions at bit.ly/asktalkshop. We'll try to get through each one. And by the way, we had some questions come in. We don't have time to go through each one on one session, but we're gonna look through it. And if we see that your question has to do with something on an upcoming week on a different topic, let's say it's on retailing, but it's like 3 weeks from now. We're just going to allocate that and assign that to 3 weeks from now. Does that make sense? I hope everyone's okay with that. Okay. And so that's where you can get that. Now, I did pick out a couple of questions, though. I saw a couple of good ones, couldn't resist. And so maybe thought we could spend, a quick minute or so on each one and see how it turns out. The first one comes from Jessica Ruiz, and she is from Queens, New York. And the question is, how do I prioritize my goals when they are all needed right now? This is a great question. What do you guys think?
All right. So first of all, yes, a lot of things we may need right now, right? To maybe more money and more time to focus on my business and etc. But at the end, it still comes down to the most important one that can change everything else. So you have to really dig deep. For example, in order to have more time to focus on my business, where can I buy my time back, right? And it's amazing that Andrew's pulling up something that we always train on, which is, you got to focus on, the priority of the day is to do the tasks that get you your goals rather than just your obligations. So Andrew, take it away.
I'm just pulling this up because I figured like y'all use this, but the goal quadrants, these are the, I'd say, Jessica, like spend some time to do a search on this and really focus on, breaking down your tasks and figuring out which quadrants it gets into. Now, when I first started my business, I fell into a trap where I thought, the top left quadrant, where it's important and it's urgent, I fell into the trap where I thought that was the most important quadrant. Like that was the thing I should put all my focus on. That's not entirely wrong, but later on, one of my partners, my first sponsor, Victor Choi, he pointed out, he's like, Andrew, if that's like where you spend all your time on the first quadrant, wouldn't you spend the rest of your life putting out fires? He got a great point. He says, yeah, the most important quadrant is on the top right, where it's important, but it's not urgent. And we want to try to minimize the urgent stuff. And some of it we can't avoid, but we want to try to minimize the urgent stuff, plan ahead, and fill up the not urgent but really important stuff. And that way you get, better control of your life. Thank you, Victor, for that piece of advice. But yeah.
I love these quadrants here. Stay on this for 1 second. This is obviously from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. Huge fan of it. One thing my parents told me, and it's along the lines of what Andrew just said, it's so good, is first start off with important and urgent, but important and urgent because that has to get done. So make a list of those things. Knock them out as fast as you can, but action creates momentum. A lot of times when we have so much we got to get done, we become overwhelmed. We do nothing. And it's a lot harder to have everything that needs to get done than just a few things that need to get done. But action creates momentum. So create a lot of urgency. One thing we do in the Whited family is we call them power hours, where we'll set an alarm for 1 hour. I'll only work for 1 hour, but I get as much done in that hour as I possibly can. We had an hourglass, you flip it over, you have a microwave, you have an egg timer, whatever it is, but 60 minutes to get as much done as you possibly can, and then stop. And then, if you're really a fan of watching a TV show, go do that. If you want to go on a 20-minute walk, do a 20-minute walk. And then come back if you really need to, do another hour and just rock it out and do 1 hour of activities and get that stuff done. But the really key thing, especially in our business, is there's so much that has to be done that's not going to get done. We're only dealing with such minimal hours per week. I'm a very limited quantity. Tools are obviously a lot higher, so a whole portion of this could go towards tools. But a huge part of what we do ends up becoming very defensive as leaders, meaning there's something coming at us and I gotta attend to other people's needs. One thing I really focus on every morning is getting on the offense. Every single morning I try to do something that puts me on the offense, where I'm creating something, not putting out a fire, but I'm putting something out into the world. That's going to be something we talk about later on as well, but get on the offense and get your priorities done.
Dude, you ever get off days, man?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay, so it's not just me. All right, cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like on the offense. Oh gosh, it's one of those days. Pop extra time and all of those days. Oh, by the way, we're going to be talking about products on this, right? I think it would be a good idea. All right, let's focus one product a week. Like we're all research on it and see if we can get some guests on here to talk about certain products. See if they can share some stuff that we don't know.
Come on.
All right. Okay. Great. We're gonna flip through a couple more. We got 3 questions today. This one I thought was interesting. It was like what was it like building in the early days compared to now? And this really hit me. I was like, holy crap! Am I part of that group now?
Oh no, we're old.
10 years. Holy, oh gosh.
Time flies in this business.
Yeah. What's that?
Time really flies in this business if we don't really proactive approach, like you said about being on the offense side. You know, time flies through, and 6 months passes by. You realize, oh, what did I do? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh crap. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Time flies, and if I were to compare one thing to when I was first building and versus now, I don't know about you guys. I feel the difference is in people's attention span. Do you remember the UBP? I don't know. You probably weren't here yet, Colton. But maybe back then, when your parents used to show the fun, UBP used to be 2 hours, 2.5 hours long. 2 hours was the presentation, and then you had the recognition for half an hour. And then it was. I came on board when it was still using the dark blue slides, and they broke down the 45-year plan with the pyramid, and it was. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah.
Remember that.
And they spent 5 minutes on each product slide, and it was wow. And here's the thing, I used to sit through all them. My guests, my prospects used to sit through the 2.5 hours, and at the end of it, we come out psyched. We'd come out, wow, that was amazing. Now, I don't know about you, but now when somebody sits through, if I have a guest sitting for more than 45 minutes, I start to get nervous. I don't know if it's my problem, or I don't know if it's the guest problem, or it's just society. We got too much information available, too quickly. We don't want the book anymore. We want the summary. We don't want the summary. We want the paragraph. We want the tweet. And that's just, I think that's the main difference in it. So we got to keep everything to the point now.
Yeah.
True.
These talk, if TalkShop Broadcast was on 10 years ago, we'd probably have this going for 2 hours, but we gotta keep everything to the point.
Gotta get it moving. Come
on. Yeah. Well, any thoughts on that, you guys?
I wanted to bring up focus, similar to what you said, but maybe from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe when a few years ago, social media or information wasn't so distracting. People actually thought that this is the only opportunity they have. And I feel like the desire was much more focused. And as of now, it could be a plus or it could be a minus, right? So if we actually keep all of that information, the tools, the availability of resources in our use, then rather than a distraction and still keeping that focus in terms of how badly we want to make this happen, then we speed up this process so much faster. So really, maybe ask yourself, if you're on a webinar, just really, when you're on social media, are you really on social media to pack your 1 hour of productivity, or are you really on it just to be on it? So don't get distracted and keeping that focus. 20 plus years ago, when these nothing to leverage and actually build faster. So, maybe think from that perspective.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll come from a different perspective on this, and I think it's actually better today than when I first got started. I really actually like the presentation now better than it's ever been, and I actually do miss the old school. If you meet with me in private, it might be a 3-hour thing because I get so excited, I get so into it. You're gonna get a full local seminar at a cup of coffee because it's hard not to when you're excited. But I do think the business is good enough to stand on its own, and when people can kind of see it, and I think when you go through it, it kind of takes out a lot of the extra big stuff that you needed to make it and makes it just the business itself. I really like that. It gets it focused, it gets it quick, it gets out there. And it really kind of like when Drayton Hodo had that training at this last convention, next card. I think as sometimes as leaders, you feel this pressure of, I need to be so good, versus the business is already good, which allows you to kind of have this mentality of those that are looking are going to find what we have. Good ideas always fall on good ears eventually. So it's our job to get out there, show the business plan, consolidate it, condense it. Tools today are better than they've ever been. It's easier today than it's ever been because of the system, because of technology. We have webinar technology like this. We have Facebook and Instagram, and the tools that can be distracting can also be used to empower your business and make it faster and easier and better today.
Absolutely.
Right. Love it. Okay. What about the fact that, I don't know if you guys heard this before. I had some new partners that brought up, hey, you know what, there's stuff online that people read and it scares them off. I just want to address this right now and let people know, hey, we had that stuff too. Like, I remember at one point before shop.com, I got started right before shop.com. It was at a point where we didn't want to say the words Market America because we didn't want people Googling it. And, my sponsor, Frank, taught me, he's like, if somebody asks you what's the name of the company, just tell them it's an UnFranchise, and then we'll tell them the rest later. And, so we had to deal with all this stuff too. It's not something that's unique to this point in time.
And we still do. I mean, tonight I'm at Panera Bread right now because I just got done showing the plan. And great meeting, it was a great appointment. And one of the ladies halfway through was I could tell I knew exactly what she was doing. The moment she pulled out her phone and she was doing stuff, I'm like, she is Googling right now. I got to catch her attention, And we still fight these things. It's our ability to be stronger than what.
How'd you address that?
How did I address it? Well, I mean, I always address it right away. I try to inoculate them, from it right away before they even have a chance to be bombarded, because it's not even just here. Another great audio, I'm a fan of listening to audios, listening to Jim Rohn's building a successful network marketing business. He talks about the birds get them and the ground gets them, and it's the law of averages, and it's really good audio to listen to. But as much of that as we can get rid of the distractions by inoculating people and saying not everybody's going to be pooping rainbows when they hear about this idea. Some people are going to try to, squish on your idea. Some people just squish on hope. Some people just squish on dreams. I'll tell you right now, we have an A+ with a Better Business Bureau. Just telling them what we are and who we are and giving that credibility and hitting on that hard, and then being very aware of what tools you're sending them. The new video that we just came out with, I use that tool all the time to just lend credibility to who we are and what we are. A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Like, these are like legit things. Yeah. And I tell everyone, the internet is the bathroom wall today. You can write whatever you want. Google Mother Teresa scams, and it pulls up all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So, you pull up, this big church that I went to that was doing all this great stuff. You pull it up and it's a cult. Everything's a cult. Everything's this, everything's that, because everything that's for something, there's going to be somebody that's against it. And what we have is amazing, worth looking into and checking out. I just want you to be aware. You might share this with somebody that poo-poos on your idea. Don't let that throw you off of your dream.
Yeah. Lots of fake news today anyways. One interesting thing I saw today was they were saying in 2020, we got elections coming up, in U.S., right? And you're saying like campaigns now, you don't know if you can trust it, because in 2020 they're able today to take a figure, a politician, and make them say something that wasn't even them.
Yeah.
And you got to verify like that. So with I don't know where I'm going with this. Oh yeah, lots of fake news today. So we've got to make sure we verify and validate. Great point you're bringing up the Better Business Bureau. I love that video too, especially at the end when Jared says we're built on a roll. Like, man,
it gives me I get goosebumps every time I watch it. I'll watch it before every appointment. I watched it right before I walked in here tonight. I was like, all right, watch this video. I walk in, I am so hyped. I'm at a level 10, and they're
$1 billion roll.
I'm on $1 million roll right now. Come on.
Yeah.
It's intense.
Awesome. Okay. All right. All right. Last one. Very quick. Colton and Olivia, I'm gonna let you guys take this one. How do you succeed in every appointment?
Good question.
What do you got, lady?
All right. Well, first of all, I think you want to define what you mean by succeed, right? So I think Colton did a great job on stage this time talking about follow-up. And we always say the fortune's in the follow-up. If you identify succeeding as in how well you show the plan, how eloquent you were speaking, then we're really missing the point, right? So it doesn't matter. We're in this to keep people in the system long enough so that they see the light themselves. So remember, we are the messenger. We are not the message. So when you take that spotlight off of ourselves, then it becomes easier to identify what's really succeeding, right? Succeeding in every appointment simply means you pick their interest, got their curiosity. So you want to raise curiosity and lower their fear. And all you want to do is book them to the next appointment. Then you basically succeed in every appointment. So, you want to also keep that mentality of it doesn't matter if what you want to tell yourself before you go into the appointment is more of, can I ask better questions? Can I be a better listener? Can I build better rapport? Can I book that appointment off of what they want to achieve rather than what I think is good for them in this business? So in those perspectives, we monitor our performance rather than thinking, have I nailed it? Have I sold anything? Have I booked or have I sponsored someone? So I think it's really thinking succeeding is booking successful follow-up.
Man, that's good. Okay. Yeah, Colton took the words out of your mouth, eh?
Absolutely. Yeah. My parents made a video on this that I highly suggest checking out. Not to cross my book, but I'm just talking about audios in general.
This is great, yeah.
Awesome.
But they have a whole playlist called "How to Win Every Appointment."
How to win. Yeah.
It's so good because you walk into it thinking, how am I going to get everybody to move forward with my business? And from the first one, they talk about winning an appointment looks like creating a win-win situation. It doesn't look like you dominating the other person, you talking them into something, you doing something. It looks like adding more value to the world than you take. And that's a guided motto. That's like a core philosophy of ours is we add more value than we take. If there's trash on the ground, I want the restaurant to look better because I was here. I made it, didn't produce the trash. It was on somebody else's table. I still pick it up and take it to the trash can because I want the world to be better. The most important minute of every appointment, in my opinion, is the minute before you walk in. And that looks like getting this right and getting this right. Before I walk into every appointment, I make sure my heart is right, my mind is right, that I'm not in this to dominate somebody. I'm not in this to make them do something they don't want to do. I'm not in this to even sell this. I'm in this to show them a better way and to make their life better because they met me. I want this to be a win-win situation. Maybe it has nothing to do with the business. Maybe I sit down with them and I'm like, there's a book they need to read. I'm going to make sure they get this book. Maybe it's another connection I have. Maybe I just met a guy last week that's, starting a music band or whatever. It's going to be some kind of a win-win situation. I want everybody to walk into an appointment with me and leave better than they walked into it. And I know if I do that enough times, I'm never going to have to worry about money again.
Oh, gosh, love it. Beautiful. There's going to be more of this, obviously, as we proceed. A lot of wisdom here tonight. Thank you so much, guys. If you guys for our listeners, if you guys have questions, bit.ly/ask TalkShop. We will review them every week, and we may not get to it. If you got something really important, just email me, and we'll make sure we address it right away. But yeah, next week we're going to talk about getting organized. So we're all going to, throw out our favorite tools. We'll pick a few brains, and we'll all congregate and then share what we learn. All right, have that conversation. I'd like
This
to
is so
end
fun. I love this.
Yeah, I'd like to end off today by saying thank you to everybody, and then Olivia, you're going to send us off. Closing remarks. A very special thank you to Dennis Franks for supporting us on the back end and supplying us with the tools and the green light, and also Sarah Rose Stack for pushing this out on the Unfranchised News and everywhere else. We're going to see some of this pop up on Unfranchised Merchandise, where if we talk about products, we're going to have a blog written out about TalkShop, and then right underneath it, they'll link out the products, like to people where people can buy the products right on unfranchise.com. So that's something that we're trying to work on. Let's see how that goes. Olivia, any closing remarks for us this week?
Yes. Well, first of all, I think it's been a great first episode, and we always want to, again, keep our, what you want to you want to inspect what you expect of success, right? So keeping everything measurable, and we wanted to close it off by asking you a question where it's solution and action oriented, right? So here's the question for everybody for episode 1. If the unfranchised business was a guaranteed success for you, starting tomorrow, what would you do? What would go on your stop doing list? Okay, again, if this was a guaranteed success for you starting tomorrow, what would go on your stop doing list?
So good.
That's so good coming from this collaborative mind. But most importantly, sometimes we always say what needs to get done on our priority list. Again, we need to focus on scheduling in the priorities rather than just prioritizing the schedules, right? Because if that's the case, like Lauren always says, we end up just always putting out that fire, but we want to focus on what gets things done. So in the other perspective, we need to also stop doing certain things, maybe some bad habits, and it will be great for you to list them out and start taking actions upon that. And we'll see you next week.
Love it. Take care, guys.